But I want to introduce you to a gentleman that I've known 7 or 8 years now. I met him when I was at the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and he was the general manager of Microsoft Global Sales Readiness and Learning. And he was there, I think it's 17 years at Microsoft? 117 years, yeah. And before that, 200 years at Cisco, and I'll let him tell you a little bit more about that. One of the reasons why, and Chris was our keynote last year, for those of you that were here, and just brilliant. One of the reasons why we invited him back this year is because he does think in the future. He thinks about innovation. He thinks about these things. He pushes people to think differently. He pushed Aaron and I to double up Learnapalooza and make it Learnapalooza XL, which I'm going to send him my counseling bills after this. But he's founder and CEO of the Learning Futures Group. And again, as I said, just a brilliant man. So I'm going to turn it over to him.
Okay, thank you, Darren. Darren and team, this amazing event. I think you should just give them a round of applause for it. I came to this event last year. I was invited to come, and I was just blown away by the energy and the hands-on nature of this, and just really, really fun. I go to conferences all the time, and this one is different, and it's thanks to the energy of the people and you all who come and get involved and roll up your sleeves, and that's fun. The theme is disruption, right? I'm going to stand behind a lectern here for a minute, because I have to drive. The theme is disruption and being a superhero. So I woke up at 5 o'clock this morning. I'm kind of an improviser, so I hadn't really planned anything until then. And so I apologize in advance if this is a hot mess, but I'm sure we'll have some fun. And I thought, I'm not really a big fan of panel discussions. How many people love panel discussions? Oh, something bad. Anybody kind of panel discussions? Some people, yeah. So I thought it might be fun to try and disrupt the panel discussion a bit, which is a bit unfair because I didn't tell any of the panel. So we'll see how resilient they are. But I thought a couple of things. I thought I love game shows, so I thought we could have a game show element at the end. Are you able to come back? Yeah. I will require a lot of energy from you. I'm also working on this podcast, so it's going to be a live podcast as well. And I asked John if he could live stream this, whatever.
Yeah.
We're going to live stream it. Okay. In our imaginations at least. Okay, so let's. John, by the way, going after that session is really hard. And I guarantee you will not be crying in this session. Maybe just from boredom or just frustration. But there's going to be no emotional leverage in this one at all. One thing that John and I did do yesterday when we were in the happy hour last night was make this little video in real time on how to supercharge your LinkedIn connections. Right? How many people are on LinkedIn? Like everybody, right? I can live without it. And somebody showed me this really cool technique for connecting with a lot of people simultaneously at the same time. We made this little video, and let's see if I can make it work because it's a little bit tricky. Yeah, so watch the video, see what happens, and I'll talk you through it. So let's see what happens. Alright, so what is supposed to happen is the video is supposed to fire. Right. Okay. Watch the right hand side and bingo. Right, do you all get that? It was a joke. It's not a joke. Let's see if I can run it again. So basically, let me talk you through it. Get out your device, go to LinkedIn. The first thing you need to do is go to settings and make sure you have Bluetooth switched on. Okay? Okay. Right, Bluetooth switched on. Then you fire up the LinkedIn app. And along tray, what's called a tray, you'll see there's a couple of people side by side, like a small person and a big person. I don't know what that is. But that's where you go to sort of network and connect. You're all following along? Like, I'm never going to get you back on. You're going to be in your phones for the rest of the day. So you click on that, and then at the top of your screen in the middle, sort of here, you should see a little thing that says Find Nearby. How many people have Find Nearby? Okay, now, like, we're going to break the system here, but why don't you all just press Find Nearby and see what happens? Is anything happening? So you should see like a list of like 100 people, or maybe 50 or maybe 20. Okay, now I'm thinking I maybe should have done this at the end.
That didn't happen at 5 a.m.
Because I've kind of lost you. I've kind of lost you. You're in the future. All right, you're in the future. Great. All right, okay. All right, time out everybody. Put your phones down and turn the internet off. All eyes on me, okay? Come on. Okay. Let's go. I promise we're going to do that again at the end. So that was just a practice. You'll get another chance to make new friends in real time with LinkedIn. All right, you with me? Yeah. Great. Okay. All right, so we're going to do this game show. I'm going to get things started. I thought Laurie, Shelley Holt from Expedia did a great job yesterday of teeing up the problem. Right? Teeing up the problem. Why is life so scary? Why does work feel like it's changing like crazy? And what the hell can we do about it to help people sort of prepare for the future? Right? A nice job. Time it all up. I thought I'd add in a few. You've got to sprinkle in a few facts. So I think I'd sprinkle in a few more facts just to get you all amped up. Because that's how these keynote sort of things work. Right? And the signals about how the future is changing, the future of work is changing, are firing pretty strong, right? If you just have to go to LinkedIn, please don't, and you just see 50 articles on how the world of work is changing and how it's all scary and the robots are coming in and they'll take our jobs. And no, there'll be more jobs. No, there'll be less jobs. No, there'll be more jobs. It's very confusing, but the signals are strong and real changes are happening. This is data that I got from Josh Bersin just last week. Since 2000, the number of W-2s, that's people working on a payroll, has dropped by 4%, despite the fact that we've got the highest employment rate since 1969. No, since Neil Armstrong walked on the moon, right? Today. But the number of 1099s has gone up by 23%. That is, people are working for themselves. They're working in different ways. They're not working for corporations. This is a real thing. As William Gibson said, the future is already here, it's just not evenly distributed. And these signals are really, really loud and you can hear them coming. And 42% of people under the age of 34 have some sort of side hustle. I think it's probably not good to ask a lot of questions about what those actually mean, but that's pretty good. So signals are strong and it's scary, right? Change is scary. But it's not all bad. It's not all bad, because what we forget is the way that work works, and has worked since the 1950s, when these guys that we laugh at now and make fun of were running the shop. There's a lot of bad things happen at work. And there's one piece of data that is still just amazingly shocking to me in today's day and age, even though we laugh at madmen. This is the graph of all the countries in the OECD, and it lists the gap in pay between women's pay and men's pay. And there in red, I'm going to and you can read it, it's a monster screen, is our very own United States. And there we are at something like, I'm going to say it's like 13%, is that right? 18%, I should know that off by heart. For some reason, in this wonderful world of work that we're all worried about losing, we choose to pay the female workers 18% less than the male workers. So I'm like, bring the hell on change, please. It's And then my third metric, and then we'll meet the panel, right? My third metric to spur your thinking is one that really shocked me when I learned this. And this is scary. This is really a game-changing metric. And I know that it's true because I saw it at a conference and I took a photograph of the screen. And by the year 2020, you're not going to believe this, there will be more Lego people in the world. Have you thought through the consequences of that? Are you ready to deal with the consequences of that? And anybody who's concerned about plastic in the ocean might have an even stronger visceral reaction to that. I think my point is that we can't know what's going to happen in the future, right? And we can get very anxious about it, but we can read the signals about what's going to happen where things are starting to take place today. And it's our, I believe, responsibility as workplace learning professionals and fans to help prepare the workforce for this future. Is that a good thing to do? I think that's what we're all here to do, right? Figure it out. Let's disrupt. So, I don't know how we disrupt Lego guys, but we should work on that. So for me, the signals are pretty clear. The question is that I don't hear enough about. I hear all the signals loud and clear, but what I don't hear enough about is what can we do about it? How do we help people deal with their anxiety? How do we help people get smarter? How do we help people respond and be more agile? Because we're told time and time again that that's what it's going to take to be successful in the future. I feel so strongly about this that I've taken a gap year to figure this out. And I'm going to figure it out in a year, probably not. I'm doing all kinds of interesting things in my gap year, but all around this notion of what can we actually do to help people be more effective in the workplace. And this is a very sly way of me introducing my podcast series, which I hope you can all go and subscribe to. And I thought what we do today, instead of having a panel discussion, we're going to have a live podcast. How about that?
Awesome.
Right? Okay. And so my podcast works by me interviewing really interesting, thought-provoking people, maybe academics, maybe practitioners, maybe chief learning officers, people who are doing things about figuring out how to do workplace learning in the future. And we found 3 people here today, amongst, I'm sure, many people who are thinking about it, to come talk to us. So will my panel please join me on stage? Big round of applause. Michael, Sarah, and Scott. Welcome. Let me see. So, I have some questions here on my phone, which I didn't prepare yet. I sent them to them all at 5:30 this morning. That's very kind of me, wasn't it? And how my podcast works is I invite interesting people on, and I start with a sort of fairly quick fire round so that we get to know them and their kind of work practice, what they do, what they think about things. And then we talk about some sort of huge monster question, and I'll introduce that question in a second. Yeah, why don't you take it away, Stella? Why don't you tell me some things about yourself? I'm going to ask you a couple of questions, and I'll check on the other ones. Where do you live and why?
Okay, well, thank you, Chris. I did not expect a live podcast going on, so I'll be crossing all my T's and dotting all my I's.
It's all being recorded.
Right, so I live in Vancouver, Canada. I've been told there's another Vancouver here somewhere, so Canadian. The why of living there, I think in Vancouver and in Canada in general, we have a very strong learning culture, especially in emerging technologies. For example, in the virtual reality and augmented reality world, we have over 100 companies right now that are doing various very interesting things, including learning in Vancouver. So, and we also have a bit of a startup ecosystem. People in general are very collaborative, very willing to foster your ideas. So that's what I chose to live
That's
there.
cool. One of my ideas to disrupt this panel was to have a competition about which is the coolest place for learning. And I know Vancouver's pretty cool, but it's not as cool as Seattle.
I don't know about that.
Okay,
We'll have a competition.
we'll talk about that a little bit later. Let me ask you one more question, and then we'll go to the boys. What is your job title, and then what do you really do?
Yeah, I'm still trying to explain that to my parents.
Yeah, that's good.
I run my own consulting agency, so I guess I'm the director and the consultant for my company called Paradox Learning. What I really do is anything from learning strategy to e-learning, implementation, technology, advisory, learning measurement, and I also advise on startups, primarily in the learning and educational technology space.
It sounds like you might be a useful ally in trying to figure out the future of workplace learning.
A little bit.
Okay, good. That's great. Well, thank you for coming and joining the panel. Let's go to Michael. Michael works at Expedia in Bellevue,
That's correct.
which is not Seattle.
45.
Okay, 425's in the house. Maybe we could have a bit of a smackdown here. I like this. Yeah, I noticed actually on your LinkedIn though it says Seattle area.
I do live in Massachusetts.
Yeah. Very good. So let me tell me what's your job title and what do you actually do?
Yeah, so I am the head of learning and development for Miso, which is one of the sub-brands of Expedia Group. We're actually the madmen of Expedia, so we run the advertising business, and I'm actually building out the learning and development function, so they don't have one, and we're sort of building it from the ground up.
Did you say madman?
I did say madmen.
Right,
Which
I
are the
didn't
advertising
know that.
right?
That was good. Great. What did you study at school, and how does it relate to the work you do today?
So I studied modern European history, which is basically
All the way up to Brexit?
all the so what I was saying that was one of the things that why I love studying history is I like to find out why things are the way they are, which I actually think works really well in learning and development. It's like, okay, why do you think that? Why is it this way? So we try to solve problems.
Yeah, history is a great discipline. It's a great form of study. Can we hand the microphone over to Scott?
No need.
Oh,
God, it's
wow. We are rich.
I am prepared.
Scott, where do you live and why?
I am from the heartland, almost the center of the country in central Illinois.
Tulsa, Oklahoma. Where do you say so?
Where is Illinois? Okay. Picture the Mississippi River,
Yes.
just to the right.
Oh, just to the right. Go to the Mississippi, cross over.
Exactly. You've seen it from the airplane.
And what's your day job and what do you really do?
I am the CEO of Emergent Enterprise.
Yeah.
And what I do, I am a self-proclaimed emergent technology evangelist.
Evangelist.
Yeah. So I hear words like this morning you're saying, this is scary. Did I do that pretty well? That things are so scary. And yesterday I heard words like terrifying. And we have to get in our bunker. And it's not. This technology is some of the greatest opportunities anybody has ever had in history, Europe or not, in global history, in universal history. They're powerful, they can be used for evil, but they can be used for good, and I encourage you to use it for good.
Great. So Mr. Kool-Aid, I'm going to call you.
See what I mean? This is what I'm up against.
I'm a big evangelist myself, and I'm down with that. That's pretty good. But I also think we need a healthy dose of skepticism as well. If we're really going to get things done. And but thanks for your time.
Sure.
Thank you next.
Thank you.
Scott, so lead us in the next round, which is like, what do you, I think I know where this is going to go, but I always ask everyone on my podcast, do you have like a personal mission? And I think people in our space typically think that the work we do is kind of a little bit cool and a little bit different for some reason. Do you have a personal mission, and how would you think about the work that you do?
I do. I shared it a little, and there's actually a lot more practical realism within my evangelizing that I just shared. And just things like, we do things like, I think we hide behind things like, well, people have a shorter attention span now because they're always just going to their phones and looking things up. And I don't think it's we're losing the battle because of short attention spans whatsoever. In many of my talks at conferences and so forth and with companies about user experience, I have a slide that has one word on it that says useful. Create things that are useful and valuable, and you will hold their attention. How many of you were bored and looking at your phones during our testimonies this morning? Anybody?
Not me.
Yeah, if you have a heart of stone, you were. Because it was something that was resonating with you in some way. And so if you can create the same things and leverage the platforms that are now available to us, you will hold their attention. And so it's sharing practical and I think really a very realistic advice on this world that we're in now.
Well, I think it could be platform agnostic, not to belittle AI or something like that, right? As long as it's interesting content, it could just be somebody speaking, on a video chat, or it could be really engaging, complex technology. As long as it's interesting and keeps people's attention, that's what's important.
Yeah, very good. I think there is one sort of like thing that I've learned in my little kind of journey over the last 6 months, and there is an extraordinary tool set available to us now. I mean, just unbelievable.
Yeah.
LinkedIn, for example, as a way to connect and share information and publish. We span up our podcast series like with just free stuff off the internet. There really is a rich set of tools. The kind of work that John was doing there is from like freely available tools. It's amazing stuff.
It is, but I think it's almost sort of the part of the problem, right? Is there's so much content from so many people about so much stuff. It's like, how do you actually get your learners to say this is the right thing or engage over here and not over here?
Yeah, I agree. I want to also add to that in terms of personal mission is I'm trained as a computer scientist. So my personal mission right now is to demystify some of these jargon, some of these buzzwords. Like every e-learning vendor comes to me and say, "What AI-enabled platform?" I want to help you guys and organizations to unpack that and to really dig a little bit deeper into, well, what does that mean? What do you exactly do? What are the algorithms? How transparent are they? How is it exactly helping people learn, right? So it's very confusing right now because there's so many options.
So you see your mission as an educator and as maybe a myth buster around some of this technology. And your background, just so we're all kind of clear, we've got context, you were a computer scientist and as well as an amazing community person.
I have an education background as well and art and design.
Kind of a little bit of a crazy person, I think, as well.
It's a very kind understatement.
Crazy in a good way.
A little bit.
You need
Like 100%.
Yeah, good. So let me go back to Michael. Can you really ground us on like what kind of work do you do? What's your area of expertise? What do you think about in terms of
I spend a lot of time sort of on the soft skills stuff, so we do a lot of like leadership development, work on global trust, how you can connect people in fast-paced, multicultural tech environments, sort of the soft stuff versus the technical skills.
Great. And we're all seeing like all these data points, these scary data points. One of the most scariest for me is that soft skills are back. That's terrible.
But here's the thing is I think when we think about the future of work and I think about Shelley and what she talks about, a lot of it is teaching people how to learn, right? That if the skills that you're going to need in 3 years I can't identify now, then really what I need to be doing is teaching you how to learn and how to apply a skill, and that thing is actually the key differentiator. And then I can layer on whatever technical skill I need to, but if I can teach you how to learn, that I think is the thing that's going to be important going forward.
Got it. Right. So let me just catch my breath here, right? So we've got an expert in AR, VR, so this new kind of 5D technology that's emerging, and we know that training.
These as you want.
Yeah, we know learning is kind of like a target for that kind of technology.
AR and VR can be one of the primary uses of these technologies.
Yeah. Everyone really clear on the difference between AR and VR?
Should have come to my session yesterday.
Counting two places at once yet.
Yeah. AR puts information on top of the world around you. It enhances the world around you, either through your mobile device or glasses. And VR puts you in another environment entirely.
So it's a very, very different experience, right?
One of us is not actually here.
Yeah. We'll decide who that is later on as we get through this. So we have definitely a leading edge technology that promises to be very disruptive and exciting in the future. We have soft skills that we're told is mission critical if we're going to survive in a world that's run by robots. And we have computer science and community building expertise here. And so with those kind of lenses, tell me, what do you think about the future of learning? And I'm kind of interested in two dimensions. One is, what do you see happening that you think is good and productive and helping with this problem of helping people be ready for the future? And then what do you think is sort of problematic in that space? And Stella, maybe you could go first on this one. I know AI, it's now sort of coming into the consciousness that, wait a minute, this stuff might be evil. Tell us what you think. What do you think about the future of learning, just generally all through those two lenses?
Can I say something controversial?
I would love that. I live for that.
So, I actually don't think we're very good at learning yet. I still don't think we quite figured it out. If you look at educational theories, and what have we advanced since the 1960s? So I think it's even understanding how people learn, and how to foster that culture of learning should be the first step. Adding technologies is not helping. It's only making things more murky. But having said that, perhaps there's an opportunity to really force us to rethink our learning because the stake is higher than ever. So I am excited, I'm an optimist, and you asked me about the future of learning. I think it's an opportunity for us to really dive really deeper into understanding and really thinking about, is it really just putting digital courses in an LMS? Is it about supporting how people at the moment of needs? Is it how we can foster collaboration better within organizations when I don't even like to say low-hanging fruit, but they're fruit on the ground. Think about those ones.
Fermented.
Yeah, fermented.
Yes.
Alcoholic almost. But I think it's an exciting time to make us think about these issues because it magnifies and amplifies. When you talk about AI, I know this is recorded, but my sympathy is with the robots because that really make us think about what we as humans, what are we really good at doing? And we're not competing with robots. We're understanding about humanity. It's really about they have a different kind of intelligence. We have our own intelligence. So it's an exciting time to understand how can we together work better and extend that intelligence, whether it's workplace learning, whether it's personal development, whether it's a formal educational.
So a couple of things I'm taking away. One is you think the job to be done is to help people become better learners. Is that, I think that's what you said, it's something more like personal training might make you physically fitter. We need help to be just kind of more effective at learning. Is that what you said, or did you mean the culture to promote it?
I think both, and I think also to help us perhaps ask the right questions and ask relevant questions instead of just accepting each time there's a new cool tag just accept it or just think, of course we want to use this new thing. I'm immediately suspicious when companies say we're IoT, big data, machine learning, cloud-based, and AI,
Yes.
and blockchain.
So just sign here and that will be good.
And it's not helpful.
Okay. So on the downside, you see there's a lot of kind of, I guess, a lot of misleading claims being made about technology.
And when I'm slowing down to really question things, I think instead of jumping into the next bandwagon, slow down a little bit to say, is this even a learning problem? One of the things I consult with the organization, the first thing I ask them is this a problem to which learning is the solution? If it isn't, perhaps sometimes it's a communication problem, soft skills, and other, it's a structural problem. And you have to, no matter what I do with training and learning and performance support is not going to help that. So even understanding that is a start.
Yeah, I think that's a great lesson to learn. Michael, through your lens, what's happening that's exciting and promising, and what's not going so well?
So the future of learning, I think about two things. One, we talk at work a lot about you lean in and then you lean back. Meaning, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to Google it, I'm going to YouTube it, and then I'm going to lean back to my colleague and say, hey, how do I do this? Those are the strategies, those are it.
So learning is hokey pokey?
It's like, yes. And on that note, wow, that's good.
And did you lie down and give up?
Well, if you remember that right, and then the second thing in my mind is that learning, we used to come to the learning and development department as the single source of truth. How do I coach? You went to the training team, we taught you how to coach, and that was it. And a couple of weeks ago, I was in this workshop on presentations, and I was talking about Amy Cuddy, and at the break, I got an email about debunking Amy Cuddy, and I was like, oh God, like in this new world, you've got access to everything. And I was at this conference, and this guy was speaking about the future of learning is really a 3D printer. That in the past, I had Legos, I had Lincoln Logs, and I couldn't play with them. And now if you're a kid, you can actually go to a 3D printer and you can make a piece that connects your Lincoln Logs and your Legos. And if you think about learning as that my job is to make little pieces so that whatever knowledge you have, you can connect those two things in a new thing and say, hey, I built something new, versus telling you these are all your toys.
That's a really interesting metaphor. I was talking to somebody a couple of weeks ago who said the kind of highest form of learning is when you produce new knowledge. Not just, I think in the workplace, a lot of our jobs is to transfer knowledge or to change behavior, right? But when true learning happens, and we were talking about collaboration, different modes of collaboration, you actually generate new insights and new knowledge. And that seems to me like the highest sort of order of learning in an organization.
We use this concept, some friends at Expedia will know, I talk about this a lot, it's Ikebana. Ikebana, which is the art of Japanese flower arranging. The art of the flower arranging is not where you put the flowers. The art is the space between the flowers. And to your point, I think in learning and development, the art of our job is to create a space for learners, not to jam in a lot of flowers and say, hey, here's the things you should know. It's creating the space for them to learn.
Can I add to that? One thing I like to explain to people what is my definition of learning is that, you know what mental models are? Yeah? So it's basically kind of your map of how you understand the world. So learning is really about adding or updating your mental models. So think about it that way.
Turns out it's a pretty expensive process to do that, right? In terms of paying attention and working.
It could be.
Future learning.
Yes, future learning, the good and the bad.
And the
Good and
ugly.
bad.
Through the
And
eyes.
the ugly. How did that end up on me?
You said it.
Good, the bad, and the ugly?
I'll take it.
Yeah, me too.
All right. In 2010, I helped start a company that offered mobile learning. Do you remember when that was a thing? And that's because everybody was starting to walk around with these. And we were just creating e-learning that you would call up on your desktop or your laptop. And now there's devices in people's hands. And could we use this platform to deliver learning? And a mantra we used at that time was just in time, just enough, and just for me. And so learning took place when you could deliver it on demand, just in time, just enough, just the thing that I need.
Dosage.
Exactly. So if I'm repairing a bicycle, I don't need an e-learning module on the history of bicycles. I just want to repair the bicycle. And just for me, so personalized for the context of the situation that I'm at. And so this morning on the way here, and I talked about iNaturalist yesterday in my talk, I was walking through Freeway Park, and I saw a beautiful, huge, I think it's a bush, with red flowers, and I didn't know what it was. Popped open iNaturalist, took a picture, told the artificial intelligence to tell me what it was. A rhododendron. Is that a bush?
Yep.
It's a bush. Utterly beautiful. And then I shared it with the community of iNaturalist users. That was learning, wasn't it? Just in time, just enough, just for me. So why can't we, as learning professionals, deliver the same kind of thing? Now, to get controversial, I do think some of our core beliefs about training and learning are going to have to be radically changed. And yesterday I brought up assessments.
No.
And assessing people at the end of a course where you have to do 20 multiple choice questions to see how much you've learned, how much you've retained in the 10 minutes after you just read it. As we know, people don't remember it when they need it. And so if these platforms can deliver information just in time, just enough, just for me, why do we have to have people that have retained a lot of information? Why do we even have to spend time with assessments when if we can deliver it when they need it and get the job done, the very same outcome we wanted, forget about the assessments. Get them the information when they need it at the time of need.
Great for spotting rhododendron bushes. I'm not sure that I want my airline pilot or my brain surgeon learning just in time.
Was the Bluetooth on to connect with other shrubs?
It's between.
I'm just
Your airline pilot relies so much on technology that it would freak you out.
You bet. You bet. You bet. But he or she is also very deliberately trained on routines in very, what we might think of as very old-fashioned ways of repetition.
But the recent Boeing problems, I'm sorry, I'm in the land of Boeing, which is headquartered in Chicago, by the way. Sorry, that's
We're not
probably a
bitter
bad.
about that.
Yeah, there's like 500 people there.
Just as long as you're not from Oklahoma.
Yeah, but those problems are trying to be solved mostly through artificial intelligence. So they're going through thousands and thousands and thousands of software scenarios to look for the ones that cause the problems. But to your point, they did find that humans did overcome that glitch in some circumstances when it actually happened, but the plane didn't crash.
Yeah.
Some very real-time scenarios.
Yeah, sort of like to your point, I think what was happening, and we're not deep on this, so we shouldn't speculate too much.
Yeah.
It looks like one of the scenarios here was that the pilots had a mental model, and it was deeply ingrained, and things changed in the system that they didn't understand, and it didn't jive with their mental model.
And don't get me wrong, I didn't mean that all the other types of learning should go away, that we're replacing it, that this complements it. I was making a point about assessments that I think with your pilot, if they had taken the 20 multiple choice questions,
Right.
that at the time of urgency, they might not have remembered all that stuff that you taught them in your e-learning module.
Now you'll remember, Scott, because you're a scholar, that the prompt also included like what's not going so well in your field.
Okay,
What do you
yeah.
have a point of view on challenges?
Well, one concern that we should all have is we would be utterly, and this goes against my optimism, we would be utterly overwhelmed by how much our digital footprint is laid all the time, and how much is known about us where we've been, what we're doing all the time. So from the time you woke up to get here today, you left so many marks throughout your digital footprint for the day that it's like a constant history written about each one of us. And that information could be seriously misused by a government or another body, maybe a big tech firm. I don't know if you know one in this area, in bad ways, in very bad ways. So that would be the darkest thing, I think.
Stella has a point of view.
Yeah, I was gonna add to the ugly, my favorite topic.
Ugly.
So when you talk about just enough and just for me, I'm troubled by that. There's a lot of talk about personalized learning and adaptive learning. It's fine when you're a more experienced learner with a subject that you know a little bit more about. You guys heard of the unknown problem. So what if I just don't know what I don't know? How am I going to ask for more learning or maybe able for the system to understand what are my knowledge gaps? And if that prediction goes wrong and it recommends me down this path, how many of you guys use Netflix? How wrong are the recommendations? Exactly.
I don't think they have much data.
Well, to think about learning, how many data do I have? These systems are not even open half the time, right? Yeah, good points.
Yeah.
Recommendation and adaptive system only work when you have a lot of data points, right? And we don't have that here. My PhD research is on personalized learning and adaptive systems, so it's really close to my heart. And it's fine when Netflix recommend a movie to me and it's wrong. The consequences isn't so great. Because, I just had a terrible evening watching something killing zombies is not what I wanted to watch. When it's learning, when it's connected particularly to your performance, there's some consequences to that. So that's something that concerns me greatly.
I want to riff off that if I can and ask you a question actually, because you say you focus very much on sort of human skills and capabilities.
The robots will have emotions.
Yeah.
They already have.
I'm sort of interested in the world of workplace productivity. There's a real trend and direction towards collaboration as the organizing metaphor. So like I'm an email guy, like I'm one inbox, stuff goes out, stuff comes in, I can't keep track of it. Let's call it the younger generation, live in Slack and Teams, places where it's all open and you're collaborating all the time in different degrees, and that seems to be the general trend around productivity software. It actually runs counter to what's going on in the learning space, which I think is just enough, just in time, just for me kind of stuff. And then the skills that you're teaching are about being human, and it's hard to be human just on your own. I guess that's part of being human. But how do you think technology is kind of helping in the sort of domain where you spend all your time?
Well, let me answer both, where it's hurting and where it's helping, right? So I think a lot of times you say, oh my God, I've got this new collaborative technology, I've got Slack. So we were online the other day and we have Slack at Expedia. There is now a shared Slack channel for every single employee at Expedia. Because we said, oh my God, we should set up a Slack channel.
Yeah.
Let's set up a Slack channel, let's add it to my Slack list. So it almost becomes a false sense of collaboration. Access is not collaboration, it's just access. And I think when you think about soft skills, it's actually teaching people, hey, we're collaborating, but then when there's friction and I drop the ball and I need to say I'm sorry, I need to know how to do that in a workplace. And so you're teaching people some of how to overcome the friction and some of the humanness that Slack doesn't actually teach you. Right? Slack gives you access. And so I think from a technology standpoint, it's actually helping in some ways, that you can actually get people on a Blue Jeans call, on a virtual call, and teach them about trust and about connection. They don't have to be in the room. So you can actually get people in a global environment who wouldn't necessarily be on the phone together, talking and working through complex issues without having to be in the room.
Do you think the skills around collaboration and empathy and so on and so forth need to change in some sort of subtle way that we're all kind of collaborating online now? Or is it
Yes.
still the same core set of things?
I mean, I don't know about you, like I get over my email, and I get over my Slack, like there's always some sort of new thing that's gonna solve all your communication problems. I feel like they don't, they just become ivy in your garden. Take over what was ever there before. Right, it's sort of figuring out how to manage it, I guess.
Great metaphors. Can I ask one question on time? Wake up over there. Okay, so I want to change the pace a little bit because I've got a fourth panel member that I want to share. She can't be here in person.
It's going to be a robot.
This is gonna be a robot.
I think it's going to be a robot.
3D avatar Lego.
Alex is joining us.
We should do that. So what I wanted to cover in the next, I was thinking a lot at like 5 o'clock this morning about the energy and the fun in this room and how it's kind of a force multiplier. And remember, we're here to think about disruption. And I think fun can be a disruptive force. But there are other points of view on that. And I want to share a video with you that is extraordinary. I mean, I think this is the I Have a Dream speech of our era. I really do. And it's by this young lady called Greta Thunberg. How many people have seen this?
Our house is on fire. I need to say our house is on fire. According to the IPCC, we are less than 12 years away from not being able to undo our mistakes. At places like Davos, people like to tell success stories, but their financial success has come with an unthinkable price tag. And on climate change, we have to acknowledge that we have failed. All political movements in their present form have done so. And the media has failed to create broad public awareness. But Homo sapiens have not yet failed. Yes, we are failing, but there is still time to turn everything around. We can still fix this. We still have everything in our own hands. Now is the time to speak clearly.
Anybody seen that before? Put your hands up if you've seen that before. First of all, when I was thinking about disrupting the panel, I was thinking, like, what do you think the poor panel moderator's thinking at this point? The camera pulls out and there's like 4 kind of ordinary, leaders of corporate entities, people from Silicon Valley, all thinking they're on a panel, going to have, talk about their usual challenges, and this young lady comes along and just kind of blows it out of the water, and she says, I think at the end we'll play it again. She says, "I want you to be afraid. I want you to be afraid." And it's a really great example of speaking truth to power and calling it like it is. And the backstory is quite extraordinary. There, the room is just full of the super rich, in Davos, feeling good about themselves and how they're helping move society forward. And she says, "Oh, you're kind of missing the point." So this topic that I wanted to talk to, and then we're going to vote at the end. So pay attention, right? We're going to have this game show piece. I think we're all here to disrupt, and there is so much data, and it's so clear that we've got to help people learn more effectively that the house is on fire for learning and development departments. I think there's many people will nod their heads when I say that out loud. So what do? Do we find ways to have fun and go after that, or do we use fear? And I thought that was like a good kind of light little thing. Stella, you're up.
Why is it always me answering the difficult questions? So, fun or fear? I think, you look at neuroscience research, there's something to be said about fear. It works to a point. But what my takeaway actually from this is it's not about that. I think what works in terms of persuasion, in terms of getting people on board and trying to impact change, is that you have to be fact-based. You have to be evidence-based. You have to know, your stats. You have to, not just your personal opinion about about issues. If you're going to convince people, you have to know what you're talking about and not just one, not citing Wikipedia, for example. The second takeaway for me about this video is the importance of diversity and inclusion. How cool is that how old is she? 14? 16? 16-year-old high school student from Sweden?
I think she also has Asperger's syndrome, which she talks about very openly and says it gives her a way of looking at the world that is helpful.
Great. Yeah, no, that's a great background. So as learning professionals, sometimes we live in silos. We don't exactly cross disciplines with other departments or other people that have other knowledge. And yet we can benefit so much from that. I came from 3 different discipline background. I collaborate with people always. Marketing, communication people know how to craft messages. If you want to get your learning out, talk to them, understand the lingual. So I think my point is when you talk about future work, you only talk about the gender wage gap. And that's just for, I presume the data is for between white women and white men. What about minorities? What about ageism? What about people that are 55 years old plus? In Canada, that's a huge population in the workforce for us. It's 38% and it's increasing. In the US, it's slightly less, I think it's 36%. And it's also increasing. What about in terms of diversity of the rural area versus metropolitan area, right? What are you going to do about closing the gap in the future work conversation about that? So my takeaway actually is let's introduce more perspectives. Let's have a debate and talk about things. Let's get everybody in the room that are representative of different domain area and expertise and perspectives.
Great. So not fear, not fun, but inclusion.
Yeah.
That's good. The game show piece is kicking in, so I encourage more of that. Very good, Michael.
I heavy on fear. I actually think there's an art and science to this, right? Like if you're going to sit down with a CEO or a business leader, like use a little bit of fear that says, hey, if we don't train your people leaders to give coaching and feedback, they're going to mess up. You're going to get high turnover. You can use a little bit of fear. But if I'm in a leadership workshop and I want to talk about shame, I'm going to use fun. Right? Because I think Brene Brown is a great example of someone who's taken complex topics and used fun in an engaging way to really get humans to engage in complex stuff. So I think it's the art and science of learning and development is going to use the fear and the fun.
So you are squarely on the fence.
I am squarely on the fence.
Big round of applause for Michael. Scott.
Well, with respect to the young person, I don't think fear is helpful when the house is burning down. It's a natural response but more a sense of urgency instead of fear, because fear makes you do crazy things. But urgency means, to me, you can still be focused on the problem. So I have a final task for you all, and if you have a pad of paper or your mobile device, write down or type in these 2 words in capital letters, one thing. One thing with a colon. And then start with either I can or I will, and do something that you're passionate about or that you have an expertise in, that you can have a change, even if it's owned just within your small community, wherever you are. My town, Bloomington, Illinois, is 100,000 people. And yet I see great changes just from little organizations, nonprofits, you name it, helping young girls who are in poverty learn how to code. I see that and I go, victory. Victory. So that person who started that said one thing: I can help disadvantaged youths, especially females, learn how to code and have a future. Every one of you has that same opportunity, and you can use these new technologies or not. That's your choice. But you can have that sense of urgency for your own community and solve some things, and it may blow up, and help solve climate change. Because your one idea could go viral, and several of those start happening.
Beautiful. Michael says, take action. Give him a round of applause for that. We have 5 more minutes for questions from the floor. Okay. Anybody have any questions for these amazing people? Right. We have.
Can I have one of those? It's Maggie.
Maggie and a gentleman whose name I never knew. James. Who was first? Let's go over here.
Stella, I have a question for you. You're Canadian. Most of us, I think, are American. And I think if there's anything many of us learned from the 2016, 2018, upcoming 2020 elections, it's that if one side uses fear and the other side doesn't, and they try to use facts, the fear side wins. What do you have to say to that?
Smack down.
That's American politics.
By the way, I'm half English and half American, which essentially makes me Canadian. Yes, good. I might need to head up there soon.
Yeah, that's why I think that's American politics that we always look in with horror from Canada. So that's,
from here as well.
I know, and that's to your point that it's obviously also fresh on my mind. That's why I said about the fact-based, the evidence-based approach, because fear works if you are trying to get people to have a knee-jerk reaction about things. If you want them to, if people are not have the opportunities or capability to understand the issues well, of course that works. It's our lizard brain. We react. We, as human, been conditioned to do that for thousands of years. It's a primal fear, right? So I hate to see, and advertising and marketing use that too, to drive us to take action, to buy products that we don't need, to buy services we actually better off not having them. I'm not saying it doesn't work, but we also have social responsibilities. We also need to understand what consequences are you willing to face if you're going to use fear to mobilize and motivate people.
Yes, very good point. Next question. There's one right up there behind you. Can you pass the microphone back?
So this question that was just asked reminded me a lot of the conversation I had with friends last night about polarizing things on the agenda, like abortion on both sides, for example. And my husband and I were talking about it on the way here this morning, and we want to start a party called Shit We Can Agree On. Things both sides can come together on and build from there. And you were talking about things going viral. I don't know how to do anything with that, but I just liked it so much I wanted to share it.
Yeah, I love it.
That's good. Very good. Question over here. Oh, I see.
Run, Shane.
It's ready to be fast.
Hello. This question is for Michael, and you were talking about the demand for human skills in the future, and I'm curious, as someone who's deep into L&D, what's the #1 skill that you see in demand that you'd like to be seen taught?
How humans build trust. Full stop.
I love it.
Thank you.
So to add to that, in the same topic, where do you see that being taught? Because it's occurred to me lately that these human skills, we're always talking about it from a corporate standpoint, versus how can we pull those through and build those in earlier stages so that we already come into the workforce? Why is it the responsibility in the workforce?
So the question was like, where and how do you train trust? So one of the things I love about working in trust is because as humans we're all super complex, and when you show up into the workplace, you come with your trust baggage and your trust history. It's about your siblings and your parents and your education and your relationships and all that stuff. So it's hard, it's really complex. So for us, we teach trust in a couple of ways. One, it's core to all leadership and management development, that as a leader and a people leader, it's about building trust. We do this interesting activity where we have them brainstorm the characteristics of an ideal leader and a less than ideal leader. And then you talk about the behaviors of trust, and guess what? They're the same, right? So the characteristics of an ideal leader. And then the second place we do is we instill it in culture. So as we're building out our new mixed media onboarding plan, we're talking about the characteristics of how you build trust from day one. So we're really steeping it into our culture so that it becomes sort of what we're known for as an organization is trust.
We have time for 2 more questions. See how precise we are.
Thank you very much. This is way more entertaining than I expected. So,
Go team! Go team!
my question is sort of continuing on the trust. As a coach, I find that behind a lot of business problems are people problems, and behind people problems is anxiety and pain. And so, what can corporates do? What can interesting tools? What is like one thing you're doing that is solving that?
So we actually use a model where we've come up with trust-building behaviors. Because what we found is as we were going and teaching people and talking about the importance of trust, people were like, I get it, but I don't know how to do it. And so what we actually had to do is create tools to teach people how to build trust. So we use like the 10 trust factors, Stephen Covey's model, he's got 13, and sort of said, hey, let's come up with our own. And then we added our own corporate vocabulary, our guiding principles, etc. And then we're using those to actually teach people how to do it.
And as the emerging tech guy, this will shock you, but my opinion has been changing on this, and I think you guys have seen this, and maybe you have as well. Especially in the lives of young people, loneliness and depression is way on the rise, including suicide. And yet, we have the most connectivity we've ever had with people. And so I'm really sort of shifting the other way. To learn these kind of traits, you need to really physically be with people.
What a great sort of way to end that. I'm just looking at the clock.
Okay.
I really, it's a super important point that you make around collaboration. I really wanted to talk a lot about community as well. Perhaps the community here can give a round of applause for these.